Hello guys, hope all of you doing fine. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll talk about the abstract factory pattern. So abstract factory pattern is extremely similar to the factory pattern. The only difference, not the only difference, the difference being in factory pattern, the client creates of object of the factory object himself, and through that he creates objects. But in abstract factory, there's a high level of abstraction. Now, to make things clearer, I just painted out this flow diagram for you guys, and this should make it clear for all of you. So over here, as you can see, there are two abstract products. One is food and one is beverage, and there's an abstract factory, food and I mean over here it says food and beverage factory. So there are two functions in this. One is create beverage and create food. And there are two kinds of factories which implement it. One is the Pepsi factory and other is the Coke factory, both of which create both food and beverage but of a different branding. So here if you see the Pepsi factory, it creates a beverage, concrete beverage of type Pepsi, while Coke it creates Coke beverage, and similarly they create Pepsi food and Coke food each. So in abstract factory, there's also a factory provider class uh, which returns an abstract factory type. So basically, the client will request to the factory provider saying, "Hey, give me a Pepsi factory. And give me a Pepsi factory," and the factory provider will create an object of Pepsi factory and return it to the client. So this basically is a gist of the abstract factory pattern, and let's code up this example in C Sharp and Visual Studio, and hopefully it makes it clearer for you guys. Let's now dive into the program. I'll add a new project to the solution. I'll create one of I'll create a console app. We're using .NET Core for this. Let's name this abstract factory pattern. We'll come back to a main in a little while. First, let's create all the interfaces that that is required. I will be creating first. I'll be creating the interface for the abstract product. In our case, I'll name it as a beverage. Then I'll create one of type food. Let's now create the abstract factory, uh, which will be implemented by concrete ones to create concrete products. So here we'll create two methods of the typing. Let's call it create food and create a beverage. It'll both return types of iBeverage and iFood. Let's now create a Pepsi factory. So basically we'll create two factories, two concrete factories, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and we create two concrete products. So first let's create a concrete product called Pepsi beverage, which is of the type iBeverage, and it implements it. Let's just create a constructor, and to keep it simple, let's just print I am a beverage made by Pepsi or something of that sort. let's now create a food. Let's call it Pepsi food, which will, as you guessed, which will implement iFood. So basically, is of type iFood, and similar to top, let's just console.writeLine. Coke. I'm food made by Coke or Pepsi or something of that sort. And now let's create a factory which will create food of which will return the concrete products, the Pepsi beverage or Pepsi food. So under the method create beverage, I'm just going to return a new Pepsi beverage. And under food, let's just return new Pepsi food. So similar to Pepsi factory, there's probably a Coke factory which comes out with its own Coke beverage and a Coke food. For this example, I'm just going to copy and rename everything to Coke beverage, Coke food, and Coke factory. So this is how it'll be in your in a real life scenario. There'll be different factories which produce same kind of food but under a different brand or something. So over there you can create an abstract factory and just do the same. Let's just rename everything to Coke food, Coke beverage. And beverage made by Coke. Okay. Now, as the abstract factory pattern says, you basically need a factory provider which will give the client the right factory, hence the right objects. I'm just going to call the factory provider. I'll create a static method which returns iFood or beverage factory, and let's name the method get factory. It basically, depending on the type the client passes, I will either return a Pepsi factory or a Coke factory which was created on top. And similarly, if it is not Pepsi, I'll just return off a Coke factory. Now let's go to the client and just create some call the factory provider and just see what the output is. I'm just gonna call the factory provider and say give me a factory of and pass the type as Pepsi. So this should give me the Pepsi factory, and then I can call in the create food and create beverage methods. Similarly, I am going to call the Coke factory as well. Let's now run the output, run the console app, and then see what our abstract program has to give back. It's taking some time. Yep, here's the output. As you can see, first we get food made by Pepsi because we call the Pepsi factory, and in the second two